Honor is something that all men are born with. It cannot be taken from you. Rise, warrior.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another news post for Chronicles of Elyria. For this week, we'll be discussing the recent blog post titled The Calm Before the Storm, which features Caspian, also known as Jeremy Walsh, the owner and CEO of Soulbound Studios and the creator of Chronicles of Elyria. The beginning parts of the article go into a bit of backstory on what's happened these past few months with the team. Back in October of 2018, they declared the beginning of release 0.5.0, which marked a huge milestone in the Pre-Elyria client's journey. They underwent an entire office change. We as players/backers had the opportunity to do map voting, and they've been hiring a ton of people over the past few months. A new animator, 2 new technical designers, a very experienced senior technical designer, alongside a junior technical designer as well. They've also overseen up to 17 different people going through the interview and hiring process. People under the profession of engineers, designers, animators, environmental artists, graphic designers, UI designers, and even a new director of marketing. Soulbound Studios is aiming to grow this year and have the game grow along with it. Caspian goes into the experience of watching the company transform and flourish before his very eyes, describing how happy the team has been while working on the game and how the feeling in the studio has gone from solemnly marching forward with what seemed like a plentiful list of features to one of energy, inspiration, alongside a strong sense of achievement. The blog continues on describing the state of the game and their methods behind ensuring Chronicles of Elyria is built to fit their vision, while also providing a worthwhile experience to the players. They begin by explaining they do not want to build this game the same way as every other MMO, using the same tools and methodologies, because they would likely end up with a game that is very similar to those other MMOs while taking just as long to develop, plus costing as much, which isn't attractive to them. And that's something I can wholeheartedly agree with. In this day and age, the gaming community has proven that you can't construct something that's already been experienced 20 times over and expect it to be successful, especially when there's anything other than free-to-play involved. In this day, you need to break the barrier, do something different. Even if it's to cater to a niche community or the entire masses, innovation is key. They go on to say this is why they developed Chronicles of Elyria using slightly different methods than people may be used to. Furthermore, they use every opportunity to innovate, to try something new and different, to also assist with employing the best practices to increase productivity or reduce overhead. After they explain a bit more into how they go about doing this, we're told more about the roadmap: Pre-Alpha, Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Beta 1, and Beta 2. It reads as follows. It's important to note that because of our different approach to game development as well as our procedural and systems-driven approach to gameplay and world building, it's not always easy to show visible forward progress. Sometimes they focus heavily on the server, which doesn't show well, or sometimes they're working on stuff that can be visually represented, but because they've stopped just far enough into development to validate a mechanic, but not so far as to make it visually appealing to the players, there are often times where there is more progress than can be shared without expecting people to look at it and go, "You're not as far along as we thought." Which to that they reply, "In truth, we're probably further," just isn't obvious due to the design mechanics. They talk about the current state of the pre-alpha client as well as what it will include, which ultimately is getting a functional client and server, alongside integrating a lot of the mechanics they've worked on in various prototypes previously. The pre-alpha will include as follows: access restriction, artificial intelligence, character creation, combat, contracts, crafting, dynamic environments, equipment and inventory, identities, knowledge and gossip, life cycle, locomotion and physics, NPC interaction, procedural story engine, reputation and fame, skills, survival mechanics, and world interaction. Since most of the server work was done back in 2017 and 2018, the vast majority of work being done right now is on integration and iteration of the above gameplay mechanics into their client, as well as working on their new user interface. Since October of last year, they've been iterating on all of the above mechanics in one way or another, and progress is coming along at a speed and quality that makes Caspian very happy, being able to see his vision of Elyria forged into our shared reality. Beginning in January of this year with the pre-alpha release approaching quickly, they've decided to start sharing screenshots, gameplay videos, and animations, alongside some proposed updates to various systems with their early access community. So far, they've been able to share a great deal about Elyria, including character creation, combat, dynamic environments, equipment and inventory, survival mechanics, and world interaction. To hopefully put a few minds at ease, they've given us all access to new screenshots and animations that have been shared with the early access community. Before showing these, as a reminder, the Pre-Elyria client is a low poly, low fidelity client that allows them to iterate on mechanics quickly, while spending a fraction of the time on visual assets. So it's basically a flight test in a simulated environment before stepping out on the airfield itself. These images and animations are not the final art style choice of Chronicles, but instead designed to be a visual approximation of it while still having all the same gameplay mechanics. To start it up, we've got a quick pick of the mixed leaf forest, followed up by a snap of the semi-arid desert, a quick look at the archery animations, which I am loving right now. Thank you very much whoever made sure to put a crosshair in there for aiming. And further ahead, we get a look at the house interactions, specifically opening a door to walk inside. It looks like initially we will be doing this with a cursor, so be sure to take note of that. And lastly, we've got this little bugger running around. Very cute, very cute. So what's next for Chronicles? That would be AI and NPC interaction. The blog states they're about 3/5 of the way done with the features they have planned for the pre-alpha. The other 2/5 will focus mainly on artificial intelligence, NPC interaction, and the procedural story engine. The time for them to really dig into the procedural story engine has finally arrived. However, they've just begun on NPC interaction work and have started on some animations in their testing levels. You can see a bit of that in this next clip showing a barkeep that likes the character stepping inside the building, followed by one that is kinda pissed that you forgot to return his raven last week. The reputation system will play a part in this as well. With about 40% of the feature work remaining in release 0.5.0, they've still got a couple months to finish up. Currently there's no date that they can provide, but it will likely take up to this summer to finish up. They followed that up by saying to stay tuned because pre-alpha may not be the first opportunity for players to jump into the world of Elyria. And I just want to add one thing on that count. My guess is that we could be talking about the kingdoms of Elyria here, unless we'll be engaging in a demo of sorts. For those of you who don't know, Kingdoms of Elyria is where the nobility can play as their noble houses, the NPCs that will later be living in the world, and will be able to shape the world 2 to 3 generations before the birth of our characters in Chronicles of Elyria. Though there seems to be little talk of it, so I'm not sure if that idea was ever set in motion or if this might be what it's going for. Whichever this opportunity may be, I hope it's awesome. And in the last few parts, they talk about how Soulbound Studios is divided into 2 teams, one being the game team and the other being the community and outreach. They go into detail about the roles of each and how they affect the game as a whole, continuing to announce that there will be a new round of Influence Awards, which are IP points that you can use to help you shape the lands of Chronicles. You'll receive these for the following: submitting unique bugs, contributing fan art or fiction, or other media, providing accepted course-changing design input, making positive contributions to forum threads, wiki contributions, becoming a SME, and translating Chronicles of Elyria content for them and adding subtitles to their YouTube videos. There will also be the addition of title transfers and trade-ins for those of you who won't want to keep those coming in to launch, alongside another announcement that domain and settlement selection will begin in the first part of April. They made sure not to say when exactly in the first part of April to ensure they have enough breathing room to make sure it's ready. This will also not be solely for the nobility packages and up. After their initial domain selection, it was announced they will be selling any land that was not claimed at a discounted rate for bloodline packages and higher. And as time goes on, the discount on said lands will grow more and more. In the real conclusion, there will be a public Q&A for the game held on Wednesday, March 27th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be sure to bring your questions since it's been a bit since the last one. 2019 is an exciting year for them. Each day the studio energy grows alongside their ability to contain their excitement diminishing. Around the time of 0.5.0, they'll have other community engagement events such as Personas, a recruitment fair, alongside the Setism. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. And over the next few months, they will be more engaging with the community as they build up momentum to unleash the Tempest. While things have been quiet up until now, they will not be for much longer. And stay strong, Soulbound Studios. And with that, folks, that is all the news we have for now regarding Chronicles of Elyria. Thank you all so much for watching, and in my case, I've got the same exact hope for it that I had since I first backed it. That it would one day become the medieval paradise a lot of people in the gaming community desperately need and can enjoy to the fullest extent. And hopefully, this is just the beginning. And farewell, folks.